Hi, George here, and today we're going to be putting a reflection into sunglasses here inside of Adobe Photoshop. Fairly straightforward project, but a couple little tricks that you need to know to make this look just right. Let's just get this out of the way. I'm not going to save that. I have the original picture right here. And the first thing we need to do is to create layer masks for the two lenses. We can use those then to place our new image into those lenses. We can do that right here from the background layer. I'm just going to zoom in on this, grab my mouse here and zoom in, just using the scroll wheel there. You want to be in fairly tight so it's easy to control your layer mask. We'll be doing the layer mask here with the pen tool. And I'll start off by just clicking a point here, click and drag, and that gives you curves. And they come out a little ways, click and drag just a little bit. You don't want to do too much of a drag, but just a little drag gives you those curve handles. And I'll come in and put in spots just a little ways around, and I'll pull those handles out to get the curve basically right. We'll come back and we'll adjust that curve as we get into this. Now here's a corner, so just click on a corner, leave it alone, and then come down a little bit and pull for your next curve. And we'll go clear around the sunglasses with this technique. Again, just a click and just a little pull. And this should give you a very good close layer mask right to begin with. But again, we can. Now there's a reflection of the nose right here. I want to keep that. So we have a corner there, just click and leave that one alone. Then come up here somewhere and we'll do a little curve right here. And again, we'll follow that nose reflection up, which comes right up into here. It's almost straight there. And corner here, so I'll just click and leave that one alone. Up little ways, little curve. And then right up here, kind of a corner, little curve right here. And then we're seeing the reflection of this piece of the sunglasses right in there. And the rest is just going to be curves again, all the way around to the start. Right there in the middle, and then back to the beginning point, and click on that, and that completes that path. Now switch over here to this white arrow tool right here. This is the path selection tool. This will allow us to come in and make adjustments to these points. If you see a point you want to adjust, just click on the point. You should see it go blue, everything else stays white. You can then move that point around and readjust it. And you can also pull these control handles out to get the curve exactly where you want. And that's pretty good right there. I want this one in just a touch, like that. Let's follow that along. I think this one can come in just a little bit, and I can make that curve a little larger. Again, the real small moves in here. Doesn't take very much. Now here we have a big flat section and a curve down there, so I want to click on this side. This is a corner, so there's no curve from that one. So I'll pull this handle out until I get that curve to come down to match that curve right there, and that's good. That's all fine in here. Looks like right here I need to have the curve up here, but so I'll take this handle, I'll pull this one up a little bit like that, and then we'll just adjust our curve right there. That's good. And check clear around. This one can come up just a touch and out just a touch like that. That's fine. And that all looks good. Okay, we have our basic path in here. Now right click inside the path and choose Make Selection. And OK. And there's our selection for our layer mask. Let's now go over here, right hand side, right click where it says background. You want to duplicate that layer, choose OK, and then hit that layer mask button. And here's our new layer with the layer mask showing just the lens part. If I hide the background, that's right there. At this point, we can make adjustments. A little bit of black up here I want to get rid of. That's from the layer mask side. So if you paint on the layer mask side itself, you can adjust this. Black hides, white shows. I just want to hide that a little bit. So I'll go over here to the paintbrush tool. It's on black already. And we're set at a hardness, 100% hardness. That's fine. And this size is good. And I'll just come in here and just do just a little bit of a cleanup right along that edge. Just painting right on that layer mask to get things just exactly perfect. There we go. Of course, if I wasn't doing this for a fast video, I'd take a bit more time on these things and make them absolutely perfect. But we're going to be awfully close here. Okay, that's good. Let's now do the exact same thing for the other side. I'll hold the space bar down. This is drag our image over here. There we go. I'll put the new layer in right now. Right click, duplicate layer, choose OK. Back to the pen tool. And this time I'll start right down here at that corner and then click and drag. Do the exact same trick. Just come around this curve, click and drag and watch the line that it puts in and make sure that the line is where you want it. And if it's not quite, then just do a little adjustment. And of course we can readjust once we have our path finished. And just work clear around. There we go. The nice part about doing it with the path tool here is that you can come back and make adjustments on this and get it exactly where you want it. And I'll click outside someplace and go back to the beginning. Finish that out. Back to the path selection tool. It's looking pretty good. Right here, maybe it's a little bit off. Let's see. I think I'll pull this one over just a touch. Going to smooth out that line just a little bit. And this one needs to be pulled down a touch. And pull this one around just a bit, so it kind of has a nice gentle curve in there. And I think we're good there. And I'll pull this one back just a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's all fine. Looks good down through here. Right click, make selection, choose OK. Let's hide that background layer. Make a layer mask out of this, layer mask button. And that looks good. Okay, that's all taken care of. Let's now Control 0, fit screen, and then I'll zoom in a little bit over here, just like that. That's better. We can now bring in our new background picture. Then we have our layer masks made. That's up here, File, and Open Recent. And I have both of these pictures, links available in the description if you want to follow along yourself. You can do that. Here's Eiffel Tower. This is a color image, kind of faded, but still a color image. I want to make this black and white. So Image Adjustments, black and white. Choose OK. There we are. I'll float that window and then just drag that background layer over here. Close that down. Not going to save that. And let's pull this above that left side lens. And then let's grab the corner here and shrink this down until it fits better. Now it's a bit too small here. You can see the bottom and the top up there. So I want to pull this up a bit until I get above that top and pull it over so that we're not going off that side over here. And I think that's pretty good. Let's just take a fast look. That's pretty good right there. Now go over here to the layer underneath. Click on the layer mask. Hold the Alt key down, pull that straight up. That copies that layer mask up onto that layer. And here's our first image. Okay, now let's go to that layer. Right click on the name. Duplicate that layer. Choose OK. Pull that layer down above the second lens layer. Right click on the layer mask and delete layer mask. Come down to the layer below. Hold the Alt key, pull that layer mask up. That copies that layer mask. Now go over here to the left-hand side. Uncheck that link right here. Do the same thing above there. Uncheck that link as well. And then on this one, grab the picture, pull it straight over. You can see we can now pull that over without moving that layer mask. Now I want this one more to the left-hand side. That's just kind of the way the curvature of lenses work. So put that one right here. In that position looks good. Okay, we have our layer masks done. We have our pictures in here. This is why I wanted to have both of these layers unlinked. Let's go to the top layer, go up to Filter, and come down to Liquify. Here's our Liquify filter. This is a pretty good brush size I'm using right now. It's up here under Brush Tool Options. If you see all of this stuff in here, just close that down. You don't need any of that. You want Brush Tool Options. I have my size set here at 664, pretty good size. And I'm using the Bloat tool over here. And click over here someplace, just kind of push it to the right a little bit. Hold down, push to the right, that should do it. And the same thing right down here, kind of bloats and moves at the same time. It gives a nice distortion effect. Choose OK. There we go. Let's come down to the exact same thing on the second Eiffel Tower. Back up to Filter. Now don't click this Liquify. This will simply match the one that we just did, but I don't want that. I want to have the reflection a little bit differently. So I'll do the exact same steps. Because I'm doing it again, it won't be the exact same distortion, and that will look more natural. Okay, Liquify. Everything else is set in here. We can just take this and do a little shove like that. There we go, and a little bit right here. And choose OK. And again, it's the same steps, but notice how it's a different reflection. So it looks like it's in a different lens, even though we did the same exact steps, just by doing it separately it gives a nice bit of difference in there for more realism. All right, now let's bring our background back in again. And we'll go to Control 0 to fit screen. Looking good so far, but I want to do one more thing in this. I want to put a gradient in here to darken the lenses down around the outside edge. Then we'll adjust our levels after that. So let's go up here to the top, make a new layer above this layer, new layer button. There we go. And we'll make a gradient in here. Make sure your colors are black to white down here. Click on the drop-down list, and you want that one right here. It's under Basics, right there, first one. And set this on the radial gradient right here. And now let's reverse this, so we'll be doing white to black. And then come over about a third down and about a third in from the right side, right around in here someplace. And then take that and pull that down just outside of the lens. There we go, let go. And this thing will happen. Let's now come down to the layer below, click on that layer mask, hold the Alt key down, drag that straight up, and that adds that layer mask, masking out that lens. There's kind of our gradient for our lens. Let's now go back to that gradient layer and change the blend mode here to multiply. And that puts that gradient in that looks much more naturalistic. Do the exact same steps for the second lens. That's right down here. Same thing. We want a new layer above that. There we go. We're already on our gradient tool. This time come outside a little ways because the gradient should be starting out here someplace. And click and drag your gradient. There we go. Come down to this layer mask, hold the Alt key, pull straight up. Let's go up to the gradient and then change this to multiply. There we are, so far so good. And then one last step, I want to bump the whites up a bit inside of the Eiffel Tower picture. So let's go over here to our top one. And you want layer, come down to new adjustment layer and levels. Where it says use previous layer, check that, choose OK. And so we pull the right side over a bit and that lightens up the lights, kind of makes it a bit brighter in there on the white side. And I think that looks pretty good right about there. Just a visual choice, just kind of choose where you like it. If you go too far, it does that kind of weird thing. So don't go that far, but right about here I think looks good. And then down to the second lens picture down here, same exact steps. Layer, come down to new adjustment layer and levels. Check that checkbox, choose OK. Right hand side, the whites, pull the whites in. Again, about that far, I think looks pretty good. And there we go. There's our new reflections inside of these sunglasses. If you want to learn more about how to use Photoshop, take a look at my complete training course. There's a link for that right down there in the description. Make sure you click on like. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos in the future. And I'll see you next time.